let's go ahead and get it over with. It's always a challenging day when two things happen in football: when the Cardinals lose and when the Seahawks win. And in this case, it happened at the same time. Uh, got to watch a good portion of this game. There were lots of things you could say or were positives and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just a frustrating loss. That's just for me. I know for you, it'll be even more intriguing. I would say to me, I felt like this entire game came down to the running back Charbonnet having the best running game of the season for sure. I'm pretty sure of his career. That was unexpected is probably an understatement. Hats off to him, but it was a unexpected day on that front. Outside of that, I just felt like to me a little bit that there were just too many mistakes on the Arizona side to kind of recover from, and I felt like Seattle did a good job of just capitalizing on any time there was a mistake. With that being said, I think there were a number of notable performances in that, but I'll turn it over to you to kind of get a deeper insight into the game.
Yeah. Quick note: this is not sweet tea. This is just straight bourbon. Right? Kidding.
Understandable.
But they may drive me to drink at this rate. But no, on our side, Kyler made a couple of one in particular, really bad picks. It was just guys just standing right there. Defender basically just went, "Thank you," and that was it. And it's just, how do you not see him? And I get there's a lot going on, and guys can kind of blend into other guys because or whatever. I get all that, but I mean, to the extent I can get all that, having never played. But it was just, man, this is year 1, year 2 stuff, and you're in year 6, man. Like this. So that was bad. Those are costly. On the other side of it, Gino really didn't have prolific stats, but was completely unscathed. And it was like the first game in maybe all season that we haven't had a sack on an opponent. And he passed, almost predictably, he passed at 80%. Completion percentage. And like you said, Zach Charbonnet, this was his first career 100-yard game.
Yeah.
So yes, we return to our roots of bringing the best out of people, just the other team. So there were things that worked better than you might think. Like James Conner, he did have close to 100 yards. Yep. We had to kind of abandon the run game at some point. But compared to 2 weeks prior when we not paid them, but we pretty much got to pay, played them, we really couldn't get the run game going at all in that game. So in some ways it was better. But it was just a lot of things. And, similar to your game with the Cowboys, we actually won the penalty battle 9-6. Ours were pretty costly sometimes when they happened, but, some of theirs were pretty nasty too. So we couldn't capitalize on much. And then we finally get something kind of going. I think it was 27-18 at the end. And we're like, oh, hey, we're going to kick a field goal and maybe get another shot. And we missed the field goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the old interpretation of Murphy's Law. So what can go wrong will go wrong. The first drive looked great. We marched down the field, had a nice 40-yard pass to Michael Wilson. I thought, we're going to take some shots, and that's going to open up the run game, and it's going to get everyone going. And that was the end of that for quite a while. So there was just a lot that went wrong here. I've come to the – no, that's not true. I was about to say I've come to the conclusion, but I really haven't. I'm hoping that what is wrong is that we have a Seattle Seahawks problem. And that stinks because that's the one team I don't want to have a problem with, being like a rock, paper, scissors kind of deal. And, they're paper and we're rock, and great. We're a great rock. Unfortunately, they're paper. So I think that might be something we're dealing with here because when I watch it, it just feels like schematically there's something off. And so I'm wondering if that's what it is. But, and again, sad as things are, that's the best case scenario because otherwise we forgot how to play football at the bye week. But if you're
Yeah.
looking for a rationalization as what's gone on the last 3 weeks, well, this team is just built in a certain way that counters the way that we're built. And Minnesota's 11-2, and we lost to them by 1 point in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You say it like that, and you're like, okay, well, it's kind of understandable. I don't like it, but it's understandable.
Sure.
So that's what I'm hoping is actually what's happened here over the course of the last almost month. Lord, it's been a painful month. Anyway, but outside of that, for this game, it was just a lot went wrong. Some of these stats are a bit inflated and empty. I mean, I think Trey McBride had 70 yards, but I think 40 of it came on that final kind of pointless drive. Like they bottled him up pretty well. So, sorry, too much bourbon. What did you see when you saw this one? Did something else stand out to you?
Well, I just happened to miss the one highlight of the game, the first drive. And so where I came in was Arizona was driving again. I was like, oh, here we go. This is exciting, right? There's already some positive motion going on here. And I got to watch Kyler go ahead and throw a couple picks pretty quick, which really just shifted the entire feel of the game. It just felt like after that, I don't even know why. I feel like they couldn't shift gears into that like let's go kind of a game, right, with the wide receiver core and like pushing the ball down the field and all that. It's also funny that the game still felt close to me in the third quarter. On some level, it kind of looks like Seattle was really more in control than I felt like they really were. I mean, one could say that they were a mistake away in the third quarter. It just never happened. So I felt like that was pretty close. My concern, if you will, from that was kind of twofold. One was, there was no pressure on the quarterback. And when that happens, it's like, well, okay, but at least you held the running game. But you didn't hold the running game either. So I do think you said it already, which was that whatever they tried the first time around, I think they tried something different this time. It went worse. So I'll be interested to see if and or how they change that for future engagements. But I felt like that was a concern from the defensive side, is that whatever shift happened went considerably worse because none of it worked. So we'll see how they respond from that. Outside of that, the Charbonnet thing, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that coming. I mean, that 50 yard run he had, I didn't think he could outrun people, and he can. So yeah, again, I want to say the other concern, that's what I was going to say, was Kyler. I didn't see the first drive. So I know he hit the long pass to Michael Wilson, and the pass, from what I watched in the replay, looked kind of crisp. But that's what I felt like was going wrong in those two interceptions. The one in particular, it was almost like he was surprised that the ball didn't get there quicker, right? Like the guy turned, but the guy had already jumped the route, and the ball just felt like it was floating there forever en route. I just felt like his velocity was potentially down. It'll be something I really look at in the next game that they play, and maybe that's just my interpretation of it. But it almost felt like he was trying to touch passes in there and wasn't able to do that with accuracy, or his actual velocity was lower than at least he expected. And we'll see how that goes forward. But I felt like Seattle played normal-ish. I didn't really think they necessarily played a great game. They just played a game where they didn't make the big mistake, which in a lot of ways is a great game. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like you. I'm not sure what happens in their next meeting between these two teams. It'll be interesting to see how Arizona adjusts going forward. That y'all have got a couple of easier games coming up to work out some kinks, find some new things, hopefully jumpstart the offense into like whatever the next gear is. Because I think you win the last two games against your division, and so it's like, hey, we need to come into those games firing on all cylinders. So anyway, that's kind of what I saw, and those are kind of my thoughts on the game. Anything you got in closing there?
Not really. It's the thing that's kind of put some pressure on it is now even including this game. Through this game, we controlled our own destiny as far as the playoffs were concerned. That is out the window. The playoffs aren't out the window, but we need help
Right.
now. Seattle can't win but one more game if we want to have a chance because they beat us twice, so they would own the tiebreaker if we were tied at 10-7, which is as good as we can get to. Yada yada. Okay. You're looking at the playoff picture of Minnesota's in. Like they're at 11 wins, so they're one of the 3 wild card spots. Then you've got Green Bay is probably going to be, and as it relates to the Cardinals, they beat the Cardinals. So if they win one more game, then we can't pass them. And then there's Washington at 8-5, who, stop me if this sounds familiar, they beat the Cardinals, and they're 8-5. So if they win, they can only win one more game. So there is still a path in there. Oddly enough, Seattle's is probably the most likely to happen because their closing schedule is Packers, Vikings, Bears, Rams.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my last one. We can't let the Rams go particularly wild either.
Yeah.
Because they're 7-6 suddenly, and things are working pretty well. That Week 17 game, I guess, in a little over 2 weeks against them, could be our last breath, or maybe our chance to get back in it. We'll see. But now, rather than, hey, as long as we win our games, we're in there, that's not the case anymore. Now it's, we need some help. So, yeah, fun times, but yeah, we'll see. Really nothing else to add on this game, though. I'm just ready to push it in the rearview mirror. I'm really hoping, as much as this is not a fun scenario looking forward in future seasons, I'm really hoping that it's just we have a problem with Seattle and whatever it is that they do right now. Maybe it's something we can correct somewhat with a better scheme, and obviously if our roster is hopefully going to continue to grow and so on and so forth. But for now, it's kind of a stinking deal. So, but yeah, ready to put this one in the rearview mirror and then get on to New England this coming week.